Alright, welcome to Jaka Quantics. In this video, I will be teaching us how to prepare a professional scale of fee. Professional scale of fee. And like we've always been doing, we will be referencing this to the Nigerian Institute of Quant Surveyors test for professional examinations so that we have a reference point. Alright, without any further ado, let's jump into the question and we'll see what it's like. If the video becomes too long because a lot of things need to be explained, we have to do it in 2 videos, but if not, we'll have it in 1, just like it is. Alright, so this is the question. It says your firm of a consultant quant surveyors, Messrs. Global Blessings Limited, was commissioned by the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing to provide professional quant surveying services for 16 numbers prototype duplex housing project for the newly appointed Federal Controllers of Works. The estimated total cost was 320 million per block. Please take note of that. Estimated total cost. Based on the 1996 federal government approved scale of fee for construction industry, see the extract is in the next page. Calculate the professional fees for Messrs. Global Blessings Limited for stages 1, 2, and 3 of the project. If the total construction sum is 350 million, alright, the cost of substructure as 25 million, and Messrs. Blessings Limited are entitled to claim for 15% of the maximum allowable reimbursable expenses. Alright, that's the question. Now let's see the extract on the next page. Now this is the extract here. Alright, based on the 1996 scale of fee. See, the scale of fees for repetitive work is as follows. So this is the scale of fee for quantity surveyors, where the architect, mechanical, structural, or electrical or structural engineer is the prime consultant as follows. Alright. Fees payable as per percentage up to 5 million is 2.75. Next 10 million is 2.5, and this is what for quantity surveyors, and that is what the question is. And here it says fees payable. Good. Now it says total scale of fees for repetitive works is as follows. Repetitive works are works that are done over and over, like repeated buildings. Alright, now the question says there are 16 numbers. Let me take us back so that we have a better understanding. It says 16 numbers prototype, exactly, prototype duplex. They are prototypes, they are repetitive buildings. Alright, okay. Now here it says initial project, of course, I will explain when we get to the solution. Initial project, the first one, of course, the first one, you have to build the first one before you start prototyping others. Alright, you have to build the first one before others start coming, and that is why it says the initial project. That is the first one. It is 100%. Now, the first 1 to 10 repetitions. The first 1 to 10 repetitions, it is 30%. Don't worry, you will see how it plays out in the scale of fee. Then the next 11 to 20, it becomes 20%. The next 21 to 50 becomes 50%. In that order, it reduces. Alright, so this is the scale of fee based on the 1996 construction industry scale of fees for professionals. Alright, a scale of fee basically is a standardized structure of charges for services provided by professionals. A standardized structure of charges, right, for services provided by professionals in the construction industry, for architects, for engineers, for quant surveyors, as long as they are professionals in the construction industry. That is what a scale of fee is. Now, a scale of fee we have, like I was trying to explain when I say initial, we have repetitive works and we have non-repetitive works. The non-repetitive works is that first project, the first building is the non-repetitive works, while the others, well, in this case we have 16 numbers. One of them is non-repetitive, 15 numbers are repetitive, right? Because it says 16 number prototype building. Now if you come back to the question also, it says we are to okay, it says calculate the professional fees for Messrs Global Blessings Limited for stages 1, 2 and 3. All right, now scale of fees are paid in stages. Stage 1 is the pre-contract stages, where the professional provide services, right? Pre-contract. Stage 2 is execution phase, right? The fees you pay to the professional during the execution phase of that particular project. While stage 3 payment is a payment at completion phase. That's the final payment you pay to the professionals for their services at the final phase or the completion phase or stage of that particular project. These are the three different phases, and basically these are what we are going to be looking at in this solution. All right, firstly we have two costs. One is the estimated total cost at tender, that's the contract sum, while the second is the total construction sum, that is the cost at completion, right? So the contract sum is not the cost the same as the cost at completion in this case. However, this is how it is majority of the times. It is difficult for you to start a project with 5 million and you end it with 5 million. However, you may have a question because it could be in an exam situation where the cost at tender is also the cost at completion, but in this case it is not so, and this is practical enough, and it is more related to real life, because most times what you start with is basically not what you are going to end with in terms of cost and also time. All right, okay, so we treat them in that order. First of all, we'll take the non-repetitive works and we'll treat the repetitive works, then we'll see how we'll go about them. Now firstly, we have the cost of one block, which is 320 million. This is the estimated total cost. All right, okay, let me say this again before I go into it. Stages 1 and 2, stages calculation for stages 1 and 2 and that of stage 3. Okay, maybe for repetitive works, when I get to repetitive works I'm going to explain it better. All right, it will be more understandable at that point. All right, the cost of one block is 320 million, which is what I have here, estimated total cost. Right, now substructures are also non-repetitive. Substructures are non-repetitive. The same thing, you have your first block is non-repetitive. Substructures also are non-repetitive because they are the same thing all through, right? Maybe you may begin to have one or two variations in the superstructures, but substructures are non-repetitive. All right, the same thing for stage 3. Stage 3 also are non-repetitive because it is believed that the project is come to a completion. That is the completion phase of the project. Nothing repetitive is coming. That is the completion phase. After that phase, nothing else is coming on. All right, that is the end of whatever prototyping you are doing. So stage 3 also, they are non-repetitive. So okay, let's take it again. Estimated total cost of one block, which is non-repetitive, it is 320 million. Now substructure also is non-repetitive, and the question says it is 25 million. Now out of 16 blocks, one is non-repetitive. I have 15 left. All right, so that 1 plus 15 gives us 16 back. All right, so 15 times 25 million, I have this, and that gives me this sum, 695 million. All right, great. All right, the same thing is applicable to stage 3. to the stage 3. Of course, I did what I did here, stage 1 and 2. Stage 3 calculations, the same thing is applicable to them. Now, stage 3 calculation, I told you it is not repetitive, and we have a total cost for it. Total construction sum is 350 million. The same thing I did here is what I'm going to repeat here. One number, this 15 number is this. So I sum them up, I have this. Now, when it comes to repetitive works, now, the repetitive works, the same thing we did is the same thing we are going to do, but in a different form. Now, estimated total cost, because repetitive works, it deal with 1 to 10, then 10 to 20. Let me take us back to the question. See it here. For repetitive works, you have the first one to having done the initial project, which is 100. That is what we just did, the first block and the substructure, which are non-repetitive. The next 1 to 10 repetition is 30%, 11 to 20 repetitions. Now, basically, what we're doing here, we want to determine the fees, or the amount where these fees will be applied to. That is the first stage of it. Now, let me show us. These are the fees. These are the fees, right? These are to be applied on something. These fees are to be applied on something. And that is what we are trying to establish here for stages 1, stages 2, stages 3. Now, for repetitive works, we have, of course, first 10 blocks, which is 320 million, right? Now, of course, we have taken care of substructure here, so we less substructure, right? This minus this, that gives me 295 million. I have it for 10 blocks times 10. I have this 2,950 million. Now, the same thing for the next 5 blocks, because we have 15 blocks. We have dealt with 10, 1 to 10 repetitive. Then the next is 1 to 5, the balance 5 blocks. That makes it 15 numbers. All right, the same thing. 320 minus, of course, the same 320 minus, so 320 million minus 25 million. I have this. Then I multiply by 5. Multiply it by 5. I have this. So this is 2,950 million. This is 1,475 million. The same thing is applicable to the stage 3 also, but in this case it is not 320, it is 350, because the project is at completion phase. So that 350 minus 350 million rather minus 25 million, I have 325 million. I multiply by 10, I have this. Then the same thing, I multiply by 5, I have this. The reason we are separating them by 10 and by 5 is because of the way the 1996 scale of fee is structured. All right, it recognizes the first 1 to 10 and the next 1 to 10 and the next 1 to 10. That is 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40 in that particular order, because they have different percentages. All right, I hope that is clear. Now let's delve into let's dive in. All right, dive. Okay, let's dive in. Let's go into the scale of fee proper. Having determined what this scale of fee will be structured on, right? What these percentages will be structured on. Let's go into them in details. Now, you see, if you come here, see, it says up to 5 million, it is 2.75%. Next 10 million, it is 2.5. So these things are not crammed, right? They are in the question. I only presented it in a tabular manner where it will be understood by everyone. And that is how scale of fee is tabulated also. The non-repetitive works first. The total sum is 695 million. This is what we have here. 695 million for stages 1 and 2. Stage 1 basically is 25%. The professionals will pay 25%. Stage 2 is to be paid 50%. Stage 3 is to be paid 25%. I just said stage 1 is paid 25. Stage 2, that's the execution phase, is paid 50, and in stage 3 he's paid 25. That gives us 100 altogether. All right, now it says for the first or up to 5 million is paid 2.75%. I just take 2.75%. Up next 10 million is paid 2.5%. 2.5% gives me 250,000. Next 15 million is paid 2.3% in that order. Where the difference is, which you need to take note of, is the balance. The balance. Now come here, see it here. It says above, we are down. See, balance over 500 million. Balance over 500 million, it is 0.8%. How do we arrive at that? Firstly, we have to sum all this here. This is 500 million. That is what that scale is saying. Balance over 500 million. Now, what is the balance? 500 million. This is it. 695 million minus 500 million. Right? Now, this is what we have here. This is it. Bam. 695 minus, are we saying it? The sum of these guys here from here to here. All right, 195. This is what I have here, 195 million. Okay, let me just do it right on there. Let me just do it here. This is equal to 695 less the sum of this. That is 195 million. Alright, so 0.8% of 195 million, that gives me that. So I sum everything up, I have 8,605,000. 605,000, right, for non-repetitive works. Now on the stage 1 is to be paid 25%, so 25% of this is that. On stage 2 is to be paid 50% of that amount. That's in the execution phase. We also work with the estimated total cost. Only in stage 3, the final phase or the completion phase, we will work with the total construction sum. Alright, I hope that is very clear. Okay, this is stage 1 and stage 2. Now for non-repetitive works, let us calculate the stage 3. The same thing. The same thing. Now the major thing is here. Once you're able to establish this, you are good to go. You are good to go. Now we've established this to be 725 million from here. Non-repetitive. Let me put it here since this is in red so that you see what I'm saying. Non-repetitive works for stages 1 and 2. Non-repetitive. This is 725 million. The same thing here. Up to 5 million, it is 2.75. Now if you notice what is here, from here to here, from here to here, they are the same thing. Alright, so it is just the where you have to be very careful is when it comes to up to over 500 million. The same thing I did here is what is going to happen here. This is equal to this minus the summation of everything here. 225 million. 0.8 of 225 million gives us 1,800,000. If I sum everything here, this is, now remember I said it is non-repetitive, so 25% of this gives us 2,211,250 naira. This is for non-repetitive works. Non-repetitive works. Now when we go to repetitive, no much changes in repetitive works apart from the fact that the fee says the instruction is for 1 to 10 repetition, it is now 30%, and you will see how it is being applied. 11 to 20, it is 20% in that particular order. Now let us see how it works here. Now we are up to the repetitive stages. All right, now for stage 1 and 2, we have already done the calculation where we'll be basing our percentages on. See it here. For 1 to 10, it is 2,950,000,000. For balance of 5, so we'll take it one after the other. First of all, we'll take 1 to 10. All right, we'll do the stage 1 and 2. Then we'll take the stage 3 also. Then we come here, we'll do balance of 5. Then we'll do the stage 3 also in that particular order. Now let us come here. Repetitive work. It is 295 billion. All right. We need 2. 2.95 billion, not 295. It is 2,950,000,000. All right, I almost spoke Yoruba in that particular place. All right, let's go. All right, now the first one to 10, the same thing is applied. Up to 5 million, it's 2.75%. Now you have all here. The same thing is what is here. The discrepancy is here. Now see what I did here. All right, let me do it. This becomes equal to 2.95 billion less the summation, of these guys here. I missed that. All right, let's do it again. This is 2.95 billion. Okay, let me go like this. That gives me 2.95 billion less the summation of everything. Oh, missing something. The 200, the last amount is not coming out. Oh, what do I do? Okay, let me put a temporary space here so that I can achieve that. So this is summation 2.95 billion less summation of this. All right, so we know how to do it, so I don't have to be doing that all the time. All right, so this is it. All right, this is 2.45 billion, so 0.8% of that gives me this. Or if I sum everything up here, it is 26,645,000. Now for stage one stage one is 25%, stage two is 50%. Now at some point I may say 75% instead of separating both of them. All right, it is still the same thing. All right, stage one and two, it is 25%. Stage one rather 25%. That gives me this. Stage two is 50%. Right. So I sum two of them up. The instruction is 30% of stage 1 and 2 for first 10 repetitions. So when I take this, then I take 30% because the project now they are being prototyped. It's repetition. It is repetition. So the consultant is paid 30% for first 10 repetitions. Now the same thing is applied to stage 3, 3,250,000,000. All right, we already calculated it here. Right, this is for first 10 repetitions. Okay, up to 5 million is 2.75. Every calculation, the discrepancy is here. All right, so 3,250,000,000 minus 500 million is what we have here. It gives us 2,275,000,000. 0.8%. Have I been saying 80%? Please, 0.8%. All right, 0.8%. Okay. And gives us 22 million. So if I subtract, I have 29,045,000. Remember, they are non-repetitive. So I don't come and say it's 25%. So I don't come and say, okay, after taking 25%, I don't say 30% of 25%. No, stage 3 are non-repetitive because the project is at the completion phase. All right, so 25% of that is 7,261,250. Now, the same thing we did here is what we are going to do in balance of 5. We already know what balance of 5 is from our calculation here. 1.475 billion. All right, the same thing we did everything here in a first 10 repetition is what we are still going to do here. So the balance of 5, that makes it 15. All right, and this is 1,475,000,000 minus 500 million. At 0.8%, I have this. All right, so if I sum this up, this is what I have. All right, so 25% of this is this, 50% of is that. If I sum everything up, I am having 11,133,750. So 20% of stages 1 and 4, balance of 5 repetition. Balance of 5 repetition. Let's go back to the question. So we're not saying this thing off the head. Now this is it here. For the first 1 to 10, it is 30%. 11 to 20, which is where our 5 balance of 5 is falling into here. 11 to 20, it is 20%. Alright, so 20% of that is 2,226,750. The same thing we are going to do for the stage 3. Having ascertained what the cost of stage 3 is, this is what we have here. We are down. Okay, should be this 1,625,000,000. The same thing we are going to do, the same thing we did in stage 1, 2, we are doing in stage 3 also, but now in a different form, because these, some of them are repeated while some of them aren't. Okay, stage balance of 5, good. 1,625,000,000. Now the same thing up to 5 million, 2.75. Sorry, you don't, this thing is given, alright? It's not crammed, right? It's in the question. Alright, this is this. Now the discrepancy lies here. So 1.625 billion less 500 million. The summation of everything here is 500 million. Alright, so if I subtract this, that gives me 1,125,000,000. 0.8% of that is 9 million. So this is stage 3 for balance of 5. So 25% of it is 4,011,250 naira. That is what scale of fee is all about. Alright, now is the summary. You have to summarize what is definitely going to be paid to the quant surveyor at the end of the day, like his total package. Alright, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. It's just for us to what we have calculated, we just sum everything up. For non-repetitive works, right, this is stage 1 and 2, see 75%, that's 25% stage 1 and 50% stage 2. It is this. Yeah, remember, that's what we did here. Alright, so I'm just adding up everything. Now for first time repetition, it is after 30%, it is this. See it here, this is it here. Right, now the same thing goes for the next. Remember this, now we just did this one now. Alright, this is it here. Alright, now for stage 3 payments, right, which is at the later end of the project, the non-repetitive for it is the first stage. At the non-repetitive, it is 2,211,250. The same thing applied when we come to first 10 repetitions here. You see this, then the same thing, we just did this guy, and this is it. So basically this plus this gives us the what the consultant will be paid on this particular project. Now there's another question there. It says that Messrs Blessing Global, that's their name, right? Yes, Global Blessings Limited. It says here that the cost of substructure and Messrs Global Blessings Limited are entitled to claim for 15% of the maximum allowable reimbursable. In the 1996 scale of fee, you can see it in this question. It's expected that you know it. The maximum reimbursable to any consultant is 1%. 1% of the contract sum. Right? Estimated total cost 1%. Now, our estimated total cost here is 320 million. Right? So 1% of this is the maximum reimbursable. 1% is the maximum reimbursable, which is 1% of 320 million is 3,200,000. All right. So 15% of that maximum reimbursable is what is to be paid to Messrs Global Blessings Limited. All right. This is 480,000. So if I add it to his fees, all right, that gives us 28,639,375 naira. The same is applicable to other professionals also. Now, another question could be, what if this 480,000 is inadequate for his reimbursables? What if it is not? It didn't cover the reimbursables. All right. Okay. Let me help you again. Reimbursable claims basically are claims on maybe transportation, maybe accommodation, maybe printing, maybe computer. Perhaps maybe they didn't buy, the rented computer, office equipment, and other incidental expenses incurred on the project by these consultants. Right, these are what is under reimbursable, so they are going to be paid back. Of course, when they generate receipts, provable receipts has to come with this reimbursable before they can be reimbursed. Now, what if the 480,000 is doesn't cover the reimbursables, right? Approval has to be gotten from the client. It has to get to the client, and the client has to approve before any further payment can be made. Now, a scale of fee basically helps to ensure transparent in billing and in dealing with all the consultants in the construction industry. All right, it shows transparency. All right, it shows a fair compensation for professionals, so that professional A is not angry, professional B is not angry, and why is this like this, why is this like this. It is a federal government um, approved scale of fee for the construction industry, so it shows a fair payment, a fair compensation for services rendered by professionals, and it also shows clarity for clients on what to expect. It helps the client to see clearly what he is to expect to be paid, right? I will come out from him to be paid to these professionals, and it ensures consistency also in the pricing of project across the construction industry. It ensures consistency in pricing across projects in the construction industry. Basically, that is what the scale of fee is all about, and that is how you calculate the scale of fee. Now, I hope this adds value to you and in your professional career, also your academic career. Also, please do well to like, comment, subscribe, share this video so that others can learn. Also, it is Chaka Context. I'll see you guys in our next video. Thank you.